Good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching in different time zones, good morning or good evening. My name is Marilyn. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS. We are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learner and action takers to transform and thrive in all aspects by co-creating customized programs with our world-class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, uh, Ayala Land, Shell, Jollibee Foods Corporation, and um, and Chevron, to name a few. Expert says that the pandemic will last for the next 3 to 5 years, and this is why we are organizing several um, interviews and other interventions to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the new normal, those who actually find it stressful to lead and ensure performance of a remote team, and for those who are actually afraid that they can't keep their team and businesses in this difficult situation. So do join us for any of our interventions, master classes, this interview, for example, so that you can stay relevant and continue to lead effectively in any situation. And today, it's my great pleasure. And I'm so thrilled to introduce to you the leader for today. Um, it was a good thing that I did not check her profile before I invited her because otherwise, oh my God, I'm gonna tumbling here. So just to introduce her, she's working with BFM 89.9, Malaysia's leading business station. Freda has conducted over 5,000 interviews, yes, with prominent names, which includes author Stephen Covey, motivational speaker Nick Vijucic, former GE CEO Jack Welch, the Duke of York, His Royal Highness Prince Andrew, and Wikileaks founder Julian Assange. Covering the gamut of communications, she previously worked for Edelman PR and IBM Asia Pacific, and also as a news presenter on national radio and TV. Award-winning Freda is highly sought after for moderating corporate events and training. She has also authored 5 books called PR Yourself and Shake and Spear Your Business, The Romeo and Juliet Way, and Everybody Loves Ray, which is a biography. Her latest book is called Bursting Fixed Mindsets, How 15 Women Broke the Million Ringgit Mark, as she's passionate to take women entrepreneurship to the next level. She also hosts a show called Her Vantage, which talks about women of leadership and influence to showcase women representation in all the strata of society, from sports, the arts, and science to entrepreneurship. So, without so much further ado, I'd like to bring in Freda
Hi,
Liu.
hi,
Hello,
Marilyn. Hi, how are you, Marilyn? We could go
I'm
on
good.
forever. I've,
Yeah.
I, I've actually written 2 other books after that one, but that's a
Oh
story for
wow.
another day.
Yes,
So,
yes.
thank you for this invitation. I hope I can share some knowledge.
Definitely. And I'm so excited to learn from you, which I believe our audience will be very excited to do or to learn from you as well. So let's jump in. So, the first 3 questions are actually more of us understanding from which perspective you're coming from. The 4 to 6 questions, I would say, will be the meaty part where we will learn so much from your experience. And the 7 to 8 question will be my Miss Universe questions, right? So the first question is that it's actually not a question, it's more on asking you to please do share with us your leadership experience, your influencers, and possibly if you have, a favorite leadership style that you'd like to share with us, or influencers that you'd like to share with us. Please feel
Okay,
free to. So.
All right, I'll maybe I just give a bit of history. So I mean, I used to work in Edelman in a PR company. Then I worked in
Mhm.
IBM, where I took on a regional role, right? And I guess you learn leadership there as well. And of course, working in IBM, where I led a team. So I think in IBM, what I had to do a regional role is that I had to work with people from different countries,
Mhm.
and English may not be their first language, right? And
Oh.
although and they do not report to you in a way, but they also
Mhm.
take direction from you. So how do you get that buy-in, right? And I think communication is really important. As clearly, even after you had a conference call, you follow up
Mhm.
with a very simple email with very simple instructions,
Mhm.
not to confuse things. So I think that's one thing if we talk about leadership.
Mhm.
And then when I talk about then leading a team, I find that what I always like to do is let the people grow, right? Let
Mhm.
people grow in the sense that I've had people my team, when there are different shows within the station, and someone may be interested in another show, and there's an opening there, and I always say, if you're
Mhm.
interested, please go, right? If especially the really good ones, right? If they feel they're not growing anymore and they feel they want to learn something else, please let them grow. Please let them go, because if you really believe that they're your best asset, we always say our people are the best asset. Then you rather them grow in your organization than grow elsewhere. But of course, some people do move because they find that they have to go into a different direction. Like just me leaving IBM to join a business radio station full time, because I've always done broadcasting work as a part time, but that was a big move, right? Working from corporate to join a what was then the startup radio station. So I think that's
Mhm.
important. People who have influenced me, I will I have to say, you learn from bad bosses and good bosses, right?
Exactly.
The bad boss don't be like that. And a good boss, you learn from that. And I think the good bosses have always been those that have listened to me, right? And
Mhm.
you know that they're on your side, and you know that they're fighting for you. And even though you may not get what you want, the fact that
Mhm.
they had been on your side and listened to you and tried to fight for you means more than
Mhm.
you probably actually getting whatever you want, right? So I think that was very important. And if you look at all it would be humility, right? What attracts me to them would be the humility. And when they don't know something, it's okay that they don't know something, and that they've been authentic in the way they dealt with you, right? And I know, and I like to embody that in with the people, with peers, with people who may be subordinates, with clients, right? And that is a trait that you want, and deliver on your promises, So these are some of the things I've learned. So there are a lot of bosses that have been good and not so good, but you learn, right? You learn.
Exactly. And
Mm.
I really like what you've shared in terms of how important it is to, of course, help your team grow. And sometimes, letting go of those people who've actually grown with you. You gave them opportunity to grow, and at the end of the day, sometimes they would want to leave for, better probably better opportunities, or like to help them grow as well,
Right.
in a different way, right? And it's good that you've shared this as well, because a lot of bosses are so afraid of letting go of their team, because we need this person, and you'll never know when they move to another department that they will excel better than they
Yeah.
are when when
Yeah.
they're in a different department, right? So
Right.
before I ask my next question, I just wanted to say hi to Moses. He's been engaging with us, um, sharing what he's been doing as well in his leadership role. Thank you for engaging with us. And so, having shared with us, your experience with both good and bad leader, as you've mentioned, and sharing with us that, the key is really communications from what I hear from you.
Mm,
Like, you've
mm,
made mention of that several times, and, being able to listen to your team members, or as a leader as well, right?
right.
So, having said that, what is leadership for you?
Okay. Uh, and you look at the state of my country right now, right? And doing what's unpopular, but what is right,
Mhm.
right? And I think when you look at the Nelson Mandelas of the world, right? And that's, um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
people who are visionary, right? And being open to listening to people around you with differing opinions, right? No point to have this empress new clothes where everybody's a yes man and you are not seeing what's obvious. So I think like people just tend to hire people who are like them and would agree with them, and that takes courage to be able to have people to have differing opinions. Don't be afraid that someone will be better than you or will excel, right? I think that's what. Don't be a bully, right? And if
Mm-hmm.
you have authority, that's one thing. And always, always be learning yourself. I think that's one thing. When the person ahead of you is not taking that step forward, it's very
Mm-hmm.
difficult then for a subordinate to say that, well, I don't see any progress as the leader, as an individual. I don't see how I am growing as well, right? So I think that's important. So leadership, visionary, that's one thing. I need to know that you're heading somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Why I joined the organization 12 years ago was of what the station could do and what it was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I got sold on that, right? I got sold on that vision, and it's heading somewhere. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's important right now when you look at visionary leadership. Yeah.
Yes, and I really love what you've shared to, doing what's unpopular but right. I mean,
Mm.
like gone are the days when, you have to dictate everything, and, you don't show your authenticity, and, you have to
Yeah,
all
right,
all
right.
actions, all those stuff. But
Especially like sorry, especially with people with right now with different generations, right? And it's not even about, I'm not going to go into all the thing, but it is important, you because you will learn from people who are younger than you, right? And
exactly.
that's important. You will learn people who are older than you, but it's important to listen because things are changing. People have different viewpoints, right? If you don't, then you're going to be like, if you look at companies that have disappeared, they were just not open to learning. Companies like Kodak,
Exactly.
have just disappeared. What was that again? Box, the competitor to Netflix. I can't remember right now. Box office or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you don't listen to what's happening to you, because it also means that you're not listening to new ideas and new ways of doing business, and that's very dangerous, right? It's going to kill your business ultimately. And it's like, I'm not going to speak up. I'm not heard anyway, right?
Right. And speaking of that, I mean, you've made mention that, you have to listen to the younger generation and do what is right to be able to adapt, and, always be learning, right? And listening as well to others. And that leads me to my next question. We've been hearing about new normal, next normal. So for you, how would you actually define or describe the next normal?
Okay. Right, the new normal, the next normal, and what are words that we've been using? Unprecedented times, right? That's another
Yes,
word. Time
correct.
to time to pivot, right?
Mhm.
Now, I think for me, whether it's the new normal or not, I'm of the belief that it is and this has often been misquoted, but actually,
Mhm.
it's not the survival of the fittest; it's the
Mhm.
survival of the most adaptable. Right? You
Mhm.
have to be adaptable and change to what's current. Right? Gone are days where you just need an email, or you need to be adaptable to new things. Right?
Mhm.
Think of the cockroach; very adaptable. They're still around.
Yes.
They've outlived the dinosaurs, right? So I think it is important to be most adaptable, and learn what's happening, right? And always be growing, always be observing, seeing what's going on, and watching, right? We don't, and I think the last 2 years has been really good for people to self-reflect on what's happening. I mean, where the future is going. Will your job still be
True.
relevant? Will will radio still be relevant, or are people listening to podcasts? What has to change, right? And when you face these things, then you are then prepared for it, right? Or you create your future of where it's going, right? So I think that's important. Yeah.
Yes, and if I may show as well a comment from Moses here,
Yeah.
it's easier nowadays to reach out to people in social media. Technology has become so affordable and has reached out to even a layman. Almost
Yeah.
every single individual has an Android or smartphone, right?
Yes.
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 Thank
But
you for
but
sharing.
also to be be careful, right? I mean, although we're
True.
looking at that, sometimes we get, and we might be digressing, and we get inundated, right, with
Mhm.
too much, right? And then also be careful about not letting it, take over our lives as well. But yes,
Exactly.
become human. Yeah,
Yes, yes, and that's part of being a leader as well, having
mm,
that awareness and having that control still, that discipline of not, letting social media overtake you. And I remember the charisma program that we're masterclass that we're gonna run tomorrow is like, one of that is like, if you're being affected by what see, like you depend on what people say um
yeah.
to you on social media, or like an approval from
Right,
others,
right,
right?
right. No, we're getting a dopamine hit every time we get a like. That's it as well. So not to be addicted to that.
True, true. Yeah. So yeah, having said that, I mean, we've defined what leadership is, what the new normal is. Like, we've mentioned about a lot on, the importance of learning and growing. And at the same time, this we all know that, it has really created a lot of difficulties for
Yeah.
most most leaders, right? Because of the different things that's happening, remote working, and a lot of, things that are new to us. So
Mm,
but at the same time, you made mention earlier that, even before, you have to
mm,
be adaptable, right? To
mm,
be able to, grow and to take on to opportunities, right, and lead effectively. So but from your experience as a corporate, working with corporate leaders, I would say,
yeah.
what would you say would be the top three problems that,
Right.
they normally face?
Okay, I alluded to this earlier on. I guess again, not listening, right? Not listening, arrogance, and not willing to
Mhm.
adapt, and not willing to change, or my way or the highway. You're going to be in real trouble.
Mhm.
So that's one thing, right? And yeah, and so if I would say that, not listening, right? And to the people around you, because you think that people are going to stay just because of the
Mhm.
pandemic, right? And people say, oh, because I have a job. People
Mhm.
are moving. There are opportunities if there are good people, and talent
Mhm.
is talent, right? There is going to be a
Exactly.
shortage of good talent if you're
Mhm.
not going to listen to them, right? And again, right, be not willing, not changing.
Mhm.
You see that happening as well.
Mhm.
Again, when you're not changing, that's going to be the downfall of your organization. Mm,
True. True. And
yeah,
that's what, that's why adapting and learning continuously and continuous improvement is really important, right? Because how
yeah.
can you adapt when you don't understand what's happening in the
Mm,
first place, right? So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And so that leads me, I mean, we've identified the problems. So, what's next, right? What
right.
is the important leadership capabilities or skills you must have to be able to continue to lead effectively in the next normal.
Okay, I'm just looking at my when I'm looking at things in Malaysia, right? Trust is really important. When you have a trust
Mhm,
deficit, I don't trust
mhm,
anything you say, even when you're telling the truth. It's like the boy who cried
mhm,
wolf, right? So that whole factor of trust,
mhm,
and with that trust, right, is because authenticity, right? Are you real? Are you real to even be vulnerable to say, like,
mhm,
we don't know what's going on, right?
mhm,
I feel that even when where I'm working right now, we the boss was very clear that the owner of the company said, no, look, there's going to be a pay cut, right? There's going to be a pay cut way before. We have reserves, but if we don't do a pay cut now, we're going to be able,
mhm,
we have to let some people go. So I rather not let anyone go, but having a pay cut right now. And of course, nobody likes a
mhm.
pay cut, but you've been
True.
authentic, and yet you know the reason why, and you don't want any of your employees, your
Mhm.
colleagues, to lose their jobs, right? So we're all in this together, right? So that's an
Yeah.
important thing, right? And so when you have had open communication and built that trust,
Mhm,
people are okay, right? We know that this is a situation right now, but when you don't communicate that, and you don't have that trust factor, then it's going
mhm,
to be difficult, right? So
mhm,
open communication, that is important. When you're just keeping things to yourself, what's going to happen is the gossip that happens in the
Mhm.
water, well, we're not in the water cooler, but people will
Mhm.
still gossip. There is no energy at the workplace. That all
Mhm.
comes to the fore, right?
Mhm.
Because I still go to the office, and I guess some people
Mhm.
still go to the office because of essential
Mhm.
services. So
Mhm.
that's gonna, that's gonna, if this has really impacted all of us. And on top of that, you already have mental health issues, right? And
Mhm.
when you don't address this thing, it's going to aggravate people. People are already demotivated, right? So if you don't put these factors into place, it's even, what do you call it, accentuated because of the
Mhm.
current situation. And in normal times, we need it more so now, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, and I love what you've shared about trust. I mean, again, like what you said, it has been there forever, and it's like basically the one of the first thing that you have to have, not only in your organization but also even with your with your family, with your friends, right?
Yeah.
And this really helps us to have that what we call the how psychological safety,
Yes.
as
Yes.
well, right?
Yes.
And that's, I think, like the between trust and communications as well, like what you've said, you have to openly communicate, and authenticity. And I remember, like, I believe I've seen this interview with you on self leadership. You've mentioned that how important it is to be comfortable in your own skin, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I remember
And,
that.
and the the remove this whole thing about psychological safety, right?
Mhm.
It is so important, right? You,
True.
when you don't have that, and you're always you're not working to the best, you're not working to
Mhm.
your because there is, you don't feel safe, right? You feel that you're
Right.
being judged. You don't, like, how are you then going to put in 100% or 110% if
Mhm.
there is no psychological safety, right? And that is the, and you can't measure it, right? You
Mhm.
can measure it only when you see the results, because it will
Mhm.
result. At the end of the day, it's how much revenues you make, because that all is a testimony, right, of how the organization is functioning. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And like what Moses also shared with us, a good leader is a great team player. He's been engaging a lot with us. Actually, he got a lot of messages and awesome
Thanks,
insights
Moses.
as well. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
We'll try to share whatever we can. um, so yeah, and that actually brings me to my next question. I mean, from our conversation, we've been mentioning a lot about learning, the importance of adaptability, and obviously
Right.
that that learning will give a high role in terms of
Mm.
how you can improve your leadership and adaptability. So what do you believe will be the role of learning, leadership, and transformation in order to thrive in the next normal?
Right. Okay. So this is I've got to talk about this book and this course
Mhm.
that I did last year, and that was in
Okay.
design thinking, right? And this is a book
Oh, okay.
written by Govinda Rajan, and he wrote this book called The Three Box Solution: Strategy for Leading Innovation. And I feel this is so important. So he talked about companies, right? How much
Mhm.
time you should spend, right? He said, and he
Mhm.
so the three box, right? And box one is about managing the present, right?
Mhm.
Optimizing the current business, whatever you're very good at, how you optimizing the max, to the
Mhm.
best of ability. What was
Mhm.
very interesting was box two, which is to forget the
Mhm.
past. And to forget the past is actually
Wow.
to forget the present, which is to let go of current values and practice that fuel the current business but fail in the new one. So, for example, if you're looking, so what, it's like, it's always worked this way. It's always been
Mhm.
done this way, right?
Oh,
And,
okay.
like, I'm sure that, when you talk to newspapers, right, they said it's always been done this way. And it's so difficult to think of earning revenues another way because it's always been
Mhm.
done this way, right? And I'm
Mhm.
sure this is the case with a lot of companies as well. And the third one was to create the future. And he actually says spend 10% of your time in inventing, to invest in new business model. And he went
Mhm.
on further, if I were explain as well, when you create a new business models in an organization perspective,
Mhm. Mhm.
you should get someone that is not part of the organization because
Mhm.
they don't bring with them legacy thinking, right?
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
the people that he or she comes in with this new business model should
Mhm.
try to not get too many people from the organization who
Mm-hmm.
comes to that thinking, because it's very difficult then to have new thinking when you come from a different business model. So if you're
Right.
looking at starting new businesses and all that, you actually have to start a separate team. The measurements are different, that sort of thing, right? And then he then went on to say, now when you look at that for an organization perspective, apply it
Mm-hmm.
to your own life. I was like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, okay, what am I optimizing right now, right? What am I using to the best of my ability? And then whatever I'm doing my best of my ability, it might not work tomorrow. And I just, just put the scary picture of how it won't apply tomorrow. I mean, the example of trainers, right? Physically
Right.
going for events, physically going for all these things, right? And then suddenly, boom, right? Now, if you had spent time, a little bit of time in creating their
Mm-hmm.
future, and of course, we all started going online and all that, right? We would have, if we didn't know how to make that transition, right, then it's very difficult to create your future. I think one of the things is, like, I do a lot of
Mm-hmm.
emceeing and moderating work, and I've always been sort of like
Right.
comfortable and understanding that this is the case. And thank
Mm-hmm.
God, like, there are still events that's being done online virtually, and because I've
Right.
had that practice, I was prepared, right? But then I'm also thinking, what happens in the future? What's going to happen within
Mm-hmm.
after the pandemic is over? How has consumer behavior changed? Some
Mm-hmm.
behavior will be permanent, right? And how are you
Mm-hmm.
prepared for that? So you always have to be thinking about creating your future,
Mm-hmm.
that and what works today won't work tomorrow. So that
True.
was like, wow, that was like such an amazing book, in thinking, right? And look into that. Yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing. I mean, I love that you've shared all those boxes, because a lot of times people would stay like, stay in the past, right?
Right.
They like to be staying in the past where, they're still like from the interviews I've done with leaders from around the globe, right? They would always like we hope that a certain normalcy would come back soon and all those
Yeah.
stuff. Wherein like okay, let's not hope for that and just do our best, like what you've said, prepare for the future, right? In
Right.
our box tree where we have to reinvent ourselves, our business models, and make use of technology, in fact,
Right.
leverage
Right.
on technology, and always keep on improving and learning so that we can actually like do what is necessary or what is
Mm,
right when
mm.
things has changed, right?
Uh, Okay, yeah. I'll bring out something else, which I thought was very
Mhm.
interesting. One of the things that I've always practiced for the longest
Mhm.
time is,
Mhm.
the Eisenhower decision matrix, right? The
Mhm.
Eisenhower, okay, this is the fancy name for it, but you know that box that
Okay.
Stephen Covey talked about,
Yeah.
urgent and important,
Yes.
not urgent but important, and
Right.
then not important. You know that box, right? You know
Yes.
what I'm
Yes.
talking
The
about, right?
form. Yes. Correct.
If we spend more time in the urgent, not important, we
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be spending much time. We'll have less to worry about the urgent and important. And the not important time with family, right? For me, like if I would look at the different aspects of my life, my family, spending time with my son who's 18 years old and out and about. And I mean, I'm glad I spent the time with him when he was younger.
Yeah.
Taking care of your health, right?
True.
Because if you don't take care of your health, it will come out in 10. It'll be urgent if
Mm-hmm.
you in some time if you don't take care of your health, right? So what are
Mm-hmm.
you doing that's important, not urgent now?
Mm-hmm.
Carve out that time so that one day, we are not caught in that situation where it
True.
becomes urgent, right? So think about that. Mm.
Yes, and I'm glad you share that as well because I'm also a mother. And I have three children. In fact, one is a teenager, 15 years old, 4 years old, and a 1 year old. So I covered all the critical stages of motherhood all at the same time while building my business. But I'm really grateful that, I did this now,
Right.
and
Right.
we've been hearing a lot of positive comment in terms of the add value that we are creating through these
Right.
interviews and other interventions that we do, and yet I get to enjoy or balance it with being able to spend some time with my family as well because ever since I started the business, we've been working I've been working from home or remotely.
Right. Right.
So yeah.
So it has been a blessing, I guess. And one of the things is also, I mean, it was in Stephen Covey's book about,
Mhm.
what would you say on your deathbed or your 80th birthday party, right?
Right.
What will people say about it? And write your eulogy. I actually wrote my eulogy and then I lived
Mhm.
backwards, right? You write
Yes.
your eulogy, what people would say in the different areas, and then live your life backwards. Mm,
True, true. Because sometimes, like, people are just, doesn't really know how to prioritize. Like,
yeah,
oh, I wanted to do this, I wanted to have this, and yet, they miss out on the balance part of,
yeah,
having, that, and not considering that, like what you've said, that's not what you're gonna wish for when you're in the deathbed, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, and again, I'm
There
just
is such thing
flashing
as
what
balance.
Moses is sharing
Thank
as
you,
well
Moses.
for leadership. Yeah.
Thank you, Moses.
Thank you for engaging with us and giving your amazing insights as well while we're having this conversation with Frida. And so we go to the next question.
Mm.
This is very interesting. If you have a magic wand that you can use, what will you do with it? And feel free to share with us why.
Okay, okay. For me, is that all leaders function with integrity and authenticity, right? And again, I'm referring to my country and the situation, and it is, seriously a trust deficit happening. And I'm just going to be very frank about it, right? It's just it's affecting people. I think people right now if you don't function with integrity. So that's what I will do. I would like to be able to get leaders of the nation, my nation, to be able to function with integrity and authenticity. I think like that is one of the challenge right now.
Mhm.
It's making it very difficult for people to earn a living with all
Mhm.
the lockdowns, and then you see people behaving in another way, right?
Mhm. True.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, true. I agree with you on that. And I mean, like, I think this is like very basic, right? To have that integrity and authenticity. And I'm glad you really brought this up as well. And the good thing is that, with what you do, as a broadcast as well as a speaker, at least you get to give this message to leaders. So even without the magic wand,
Magic
we're
one. Yeah, yeah.
we're
We
able
bring it, we
to
bring it up. We bring it up, right? That's the
yeah,
thing. We do bring it up.
yes.
Sometimes, in a roundabout way, but we try to get our message across.
Exactly. And without the magic wand, at least you're able to, inspire more leaders to be able to, be more comfortable with their own skin, like what you've said, or
Mm,
authenticity, and to build that integrity along the way as well, right?
right,
And
right.
so that brings me to my next and last question.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be?
Uh, Ask myself a question, right?
Mhm.
I think the question I've always been asking myself is how can I be future proof in my career?
Mhm.
Right, and that's when and the thing is that's what we're always looking about, worrying about, well, thinking about anyway, because I'm the sort of person, I don't think I will retire until the day I die, because I mean I'll be doing something. The mind is such, right? So I think I'm always like, always ask yourself this question, right? I mean, or
Mhm.
ask myself this question: how can I future proof my career? How can I take myself to the next level? How can I grow? That's important, and we know that that gap between the comfort zone and the growth zone, that there is a middle part, which is the learning zone, right? And we can always get to the growth zone if we all go through a period of learning, right? And knowing that, I
Right.
love the fact that I don't know what I don't know, right? And one day I
Exactly.
hope I know what I don't know, and hopefully I get to the point where I know.
Yes, and that's where, people like us would stay young because we're always
Yeah,
hungry for knowledge. We always
yeah,
are curious. We always wanted to learn and grow. And we keep on, that gives us the fire to move, always to learn something, to do something, and
right,
to
right,
be able to think, like, how can I make a difference? How can I
right,
actually do something
right,
valuable? To my life, how can I live my purpose,
right. How can I
and
serve?
How can I, yes, continue to serve? And it's basically like what you've asked, how can I be future proof in my
Mm,
career, right? So
mm,
it's all about, staying there, staying relevant, and being there, being present, so that we can continue to, serve others, inspire others, right?
yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. We've learned so much from you, and I really love the conversation because we've really highlighted how important, learning leadership is, in order to be able to adapt and to continue to lead effectively in this next normal, right? And again, we appreciate Moses for, still engaging with us. He's been like sharing with us a lot of, comments in the LinkedIn live as well. So
Thank you for your spending your Thursday afternoon with us, Moses.
it's only Tuesday. You also have
Oh,
timeline.
Tuesday.
Same as me. Woo! I'm not alone.
Begins with a T.
Yeah. So before we end this interview, is there anything more that you'd like to add or share with, a message that you'd like to share with our audience?
I know it's it's not to stay positive, to be optimistic, right? And I know it's a very challenging time at the moment, right? But be grateful that, if you woke up today and if you've got three meals on the table, because there are a lot of people who don't, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
we have to be grateful for the little things that we do have, and, just one day at a time. For those of you who are going through some challenging periods, and I know it is tough, right?
Mhm.
I hear it. So just one day at a time. Three meals a day. Just be happy. Just be optimistic, right? That tomorrow's gonna be a brand new day again.
Mhm. Thank you. That's a beautiful message. And I really thank you, Frida, for this very authentic, inspiring, and very insightful interview with you. And of
Thank
course,
you.
you're welcome. And it's my pleasure again to have you here. And I'm glad I did not freak out when I when I read your profile. So, and I had you here today anyway, even with the fear.
You're great. You're fantastic. No,
Thank
it's
you. Thank
conversation. It's a conversation, and it's sharing. I learn from you. You learn from me, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's the beauty of interview and what we do, right?
Yeah.
In helping others as well, and inspiring, hopefully inspiring others to do the same, right? So again, thank you so much. And thank you everyone, especially to Moses who's been engaging with us as well. And do join us in this journey to again fight the pandemic, and that caused a lot of challenges like what we've mentioned, and let's turn this into positivity, into opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of silver lining that happened, during the COVID-19, with a lot of realization. So let's continue to make this as an opportunity rather than a challenge for
Right.
everyone, right? Join us through all the interventions that we do, including this kind of interview and master classes. And do remember to that even richest investors in the world would say that investing in yourself is the best investment that you can ever make in your life. And if your action creates a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. And that's from Dolly Parton. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now.